I think we can all collectively agree that Deadlock has a gorgeous art style, right? It feels like, Deadlock developers saw Arcane and they just thought, okay, let's actually make that art style into a game. And honestly, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying, they just copied Arcane or something, but the general idea that all the characters and the world is going to be 3D, but the effects and particle effects are all going to be 2D. It's so unique that, when I look at Mirage with his Jin, it has this 2D smoke effect, and, these chimneys already has this smoky effects. And then we have Billy, who has some insanely good 2D effects on top of him whenever you are doing blasted or using his super. So again, they are incorporating so well these 2D and 3D mixes that feels genuinely insane. So looking at the art style, I just got reminded of Arcane, and I've been wondering ever since that, is Deadlock going to create any web series or movies very similar to Arcane? Very similar in the sense like the tone, right? So we know TF2. I think TF2 was this comedic route that they went with, and I love it, right? The entire theme of Team Fortress was just this comedic, fun, friendly thingy, but Deadlock feels completely different. Great talent alone just makes the entire story kind of depressing. Some of the dialogues between characters are kind of serious, so it's not a joke friendly kind of environment here. So it has its own depth, it has some seriousness, to it. I don't think they are going to go towards the TF2 side, that comedic route. So that's where I'm confused is, I think Valve has the talent to create great stories. A few months ago, I started playing Portal, Half-Life, and I genuinely am blown away by the amount of great storytelling. GLADOS is such a great villain, and again, they created it, right? I don't know what to call it, but okay. So GLADOS is a great character, right? Like, she went from this villain to a funny character, but then she went back to being a villain, and it was very interesting. The world building of every single Valve game that I have played, especially, I only played Half-Life, and then I played Portal, and then I played Left 4 Dead, and all of them has very interesting world building. So I do not doubt that they have the talent to create something insanely good. Come on, we have to accept the fact that the voice talent that Valve hired for Deadlock is perfect, like literally perfect. I love Abram. Vyper is the biggest highlight. Of course, Ivy was already very good. She feels like she's taking the role of Spider-Man, basically. Like, she's the savior of this city. It feels like, she is the Spider-Man of this universe. And again, I can just keep on gushing, dude. Like, every voice talent has nailed their respective roles. So they hired already very insanely good talent. Now it's like, okay, so can they do the story? I think they can do it, but it's like, are they willing to do it is the main question. So the only thing that we have right now is the already existing lore and the character backstories. So let's first talk about the lore and the world building. I think the approach of choosing this noir aesthetic is so unique. I actually never thought about it. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that interesting, but they not only mixed this noir element with magic, now they actually can just go anywhere, right? They can actually add eldritch horror to this universe, which is insanely good, which again, that idea is already very interesting. And then they added vampires and werewolves, so they can go anywhere right now. The world building is already very good. And the lore of how slowly these creeps and these mystical elements came to the world is also very interesting. Usually what happens is, if such type of power is coming to a world, there is always some sort of a negative effect. But I feel like Valve chose this unique approach where the negative effects of these magical elements is like glooming behind something, right? Like, we don't know what that is. So what I basically mean is, I feel like, when magic came to this world, people accepted it and they started using magic, but they didn't know what the side effects are going to be. But it seems like that dark, glooming thing, that the problem with magic is just around the corner. It feels like that, like there is something bad going to happen because of this magic, but it didn't happen yet. So it feels like the world is very vibrant, very colorful, but at the same time, it feels that miasma of danger, right? Again, noir is not new, right? But adding noir and magic is kind of unique. I actually didn't see being this fleshed out, so I'm very interested in seeing what they are going to do next. And let's actually talk about the character stories. The first thing is, not all the characters feel cohesive, and that is a good thing. It feels like this is a world, right? Like, we are not only talking about New York, we are going to talk about Wyoming or other areas as well. So it doesn't need that every single character has to connect in some way or other. Like, it doesn't need to be a Marvel Avengers or something, right? So all the characters can have their own stories, but eventually they will collide at some point together to create one singular story. So it feels they have the sauce. So recently I saw a Reddit post about why characters are trying to, do the ritual, and I watched all of them and some were very funny. Like for example, Mo and Krill, it seems they joined the ritual because they owed Wraith some $50 or something. And so when Wraith, told them, hey, join me, they just joined in. So that is very stupid. Actually, that is very funny. But some are very serious, like Grey Talon trying to find his killer, or Abrams trying to find what is the secret behind this book or how to burn this book or something similar to that. And I saw the Vyper story that, she wants to create basically a second life. She lived an entire life of being an outlaw and she doesn't want to live like that. Like she doesn't want to get killed. She hopes that she can get a better life. This story alone, right? Like Vyper's story alone, we can go into multiple different aspects. Like we can show that Vyper is actually a broken character, even though she's a thief, but deep down she feels like she wants to have a friend or something, right? Again, I'm just saying like nonsense basically, but Valve can do anything they want, and it's just one character basically. Like every single character has their own story, and looking at the stories, it is very clear that they don't want to go towards the TF2 side, like that comedic style. They want to go towards a lot more serious style, and that's why I'm thinking, are they going to go in this Arcane route? Not in the sense like, are they going to create web series? I think that is going to be very interesting. And Valve has multiple different options right now. They can either go towards this anime aesthetic if they are thinking of creating web series, or they can go for comic art style, or they can just use their already existing art style, which I think is like such a big miss out if they actually do this, because Deadlock, really, it is such a gorgeous game, dude. After watching Billy and Mina's melee attacks and recent Dormant's parry, it is very clear that Deadlock has so much charm in it, right? Every single backstory is also very charming. So yeah, I think it actually makes a lot of sense if they just use SFM and using that they create web series. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm really curious of what Valve is going to do. And when it comes to marketing, this is the first time I think in Valve's history that they have to focus on marketing and creating a good environment for casual players. I think this is going to be the first time, right? Like Valve already has very hardcore fan base for Dota and Counter-Strike and TF2, but I seriously doubt that they will actually flock towards Deadlock when it officially releases. I think that's not going to happen. So they really need new players. I think most of them are going to be casual players. So they need to cater towards casual players. So this is going to be very interesting because I never saw Valve doing good marketing, even Steam Deck or their Dota anime. I actually did not hear a lot about any marketing at all. So yeah, I don't think they do a lot of marketing. They just leave it to the community. But this is going to be the first time where they're creating a new IP. So usually Dota already had legacy, so it didn't need a lot of marketing. Counter-Strike already has so much marketing. Not so much marketing, sorry, so much legacy. So it doesn't need a new marketing, right? Most of the games that they made were mostly sequels that already had an insane hype and insane amount of fan base. So this is going to be the first time where they are completely creating a new IP. So they should be doing a lot of marketing. So yeah, that is going to be very interesting. I don't think that is going to be a huge issue. I think if it does release, they already have Steam, so that's not a huge issue for them. But again, they still need to do marketing in YouTube and other areas. So that's what I'm actually very interested in. Look, what are they going to do? But keeping the marketing aside, I think the idea that Valve can create web series is already very interesting. The backstories of some of the characters is already very fun to just look. I think Vyper is such an interesting character. Again, the voice acting alone just made her an S tier character, seriously. So they can do some insanely good things, but it's just that, are they willing to do it? And another big question is, when is the Deadlock's public release even going to come? I think it is nowhere near this year, of course, definitely, but I think even next year maybe it might not happen. So it's like quite a long far away basically. So yeah, I'm very curious basically. But either way, I just wanted to talk about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, or if you have any questions, or if you have any answers, then please tell me about it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking and subscribing. I hope to see you in my next video. Take care of your health, sleep well, and bye bye.